Good morning, and welcome to Endpoint Security Just Got Simpler. This live webcast will look at new solutions for securing your endpoints and time savers to manage them. I am Amelia Hugh, the Senior Events Specialist at ESET North America. Please note that this live presentation is being recorded, and it will be available following the conclusion of the webcast. For more information on the product and features mentioned in this webcast, please check out the Attachments tab at the top of your BrightTalk viewer. If you have questions for the presenter during the webcast, you can submit them through the BrightTalk question tab at the top, and we will address them during the Q&A session. At this time, I'd like to introduce our presenter, Dave Howard, Instructional Designer at ESET North America, based here in San Diego. Dave joined ESET in March of 2014 and is responsible for building and delivering learning content both internal and externally. Dave's learning and development career spans more than 20 years of technical training and instructional design, as well as the CompTIA CDIA Plus certification and executive certificate in channel management. Also on the line with us this morning, we have Don Lewis, our Product Marketing Manager, and Greg Gallagher, Technical Trainer. They will be handling our Q&A session at the end of the webcast. And with that, I would like to pass it over to Dave. Dave, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks very much, Amelia, and welcome to everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. We're going to take a look at ESET's next generation of endpoint security products that were launched just last week. We're going to present some challenge and solution scenarios, and we're going to go over some survey results that Tech Validate conducted with ESET business customers that are probably going to resonate across the crowd that we have here today. So just to start off, IT has a lot on its plate. We understand that businesses and specifically IT departments have a lot of demands to meet. You're in charge of BYOD, mobility, cloud initiatives, as well as keeping an eye on cost and scalability. A lot of these demands are complex, and they add security risks, and sometimes these demands even compete with each other. Let's take a look at some survey data. Throughout the course of this webcast, you're going to see me refer to survey results. This survey, conducted by Tech Validate, went out to ESET business customers to get feedback on a variety of topics. Here we can see that BYOD, awareness and training, lack of time, and cost are the leading challenges for security management. If you take that a step further, putting all other ongoing IT projects aside and just looking at security management, the survey revealed that excessive time is currently spent on operational issues such as deploying and updating endpoint clients, but even more of a time drain is the remediation of security events when they happen. Today we're going to dive into some of the pain points and see how ESET's next generation products can help alleviate some of them. But first, we want to give you a chance to chime in. So we're going to start with our first polling question, and I'm going to let Amelia drive the polling today.
Great. So just to kind of kick things off and get a sense of who we've got on the line here, let us know, what is your biggest security challenge? And a few options here, BYOD and mobile device management. Maybe it's compliance. C, lack of time. D, user awareness and education, or maybe it's E, cost of technology or deployment. So I'll give you guys just a couple seconds here to think about that. I know probably a lot of these are all pain points for the folks on the line here. So all right, so votes are coming in. I'll give you guys just a few more seconds, just a couple notes on the polling. We cannot see who you are right now or how you're answering these polling questions, so this is purely just for educational purposes. Also, for the folks that are watching this in the recorded version, voting is only open during the live presentation, so please keep that in mind. Okay, so it looks like a big majority, about 67% of you, are saying user awareness and education, and then followed by cost of technology and deployment, and then also lack of time. So, Dave, interesting results there.
Yeah, not surprising that lack of time is actually factoring in there. We all know that there are a lot of different challenges. Awareness and education clearly took the lead there, and I think this slide kind of gives us a nice kind of meme view of what that means. You and I know that when you make security complex and inconvenient, users will find ways to go around it. Unfortunately, security is sometimes an afterthought in a project or is perceived as an inhibitor to productivity and innovation. Security should be promoting productivity through increased uptime, keeping all systems running safely and smoothly. But when security becomes a burden to productivity, it can actually be unsafe because users will want it gone and will try every way they can find to disable it. And I think that's pretty well represented in the slide we have here. You have a one-lane ingress and egress with a gate on it, and if you have two people going in opposite directions, there's no way to get through, so they just drive around. So ease of use was a top security management priority in this recent survey. In fact, 98% of our users classified it as either very important, meaning their top priority, or at least important. So as you think about security management, let's pose the question to you. What of the following time savers on this list, which would top your security management wish list? And again, I'm going to let Amelia drive the poll here.
Yeah, great. So which of the following time savers tops your security management wish list? And your options here are remote administration. This would be a web-based access to your entire enterprise. Maybe a simple way to make sure all of your clients have the latest protection. C, ease of licensing additional clients or endpoints. D, a single dashboard view of your endpoint security system. Or E, the ability to automate common tasks and policies. So we'll give you guys a few minutes here to respond. All right, votes are coming in. Again, just to reiterate, we cannot see who you are or how you're responding to these, so just purely for the purposes of this webcast. Okay, great. So we're still getting some results in, but it looks like about 40% of you on the line say remote administration. Another 40% say a single dashboard view of your entire enterprise. And then about 20% of you say the ability to automate common tasks and policies. Oh, and those results just changed. Some of you say a simple way to make sure all clients have the latest protection. So pretty evenly spread throughout the board here. Dave, back over to you.
Yeah, thanks. And the remote administration piece and the at-a-glance view of the network and the security on all those endpoints is we've heard that in the past, and I think we'll continue to hear that. Making it easy for IT is a big deal. And ESET's latest generation of products was designed exactly with this in mind. Our product team partnered with a renowned usability research firm and conducted a global user research project to make sure that the products would be dialed in on what really matters to our customers. So we interviewed our partners, customers, managed service providers, and even some non-customers to find out what they really care about and how ESET solutions can help them be more successful. the answers were predictable. Simple is better. Automation reduces operational costs and human errors. Ease of integration gives customers more choices, and world-class R&D for proactive anti-malware technology is critical for protecting busineses. And that matches up with our design philosophy. We want what we design to provide fast scanning, a light system footprint that doesn't get in the way of your computing, high detection with low false positives, and no bloat. It should just work seamlessly in the background and not bother you if everything's going well. So that's kind of where we've been coming from. So now let's take a look at what this next generation of security products looks like. So from this input from the market and adhering to that design philosophy, ESET recently launched the next generation of business security products, which are suitable for both enterprise and small to medium-sized businesses. So on the screen is a quick lineup of the products by name, but essentially we have endpoint solutions for Windows, Mac, and Android, and a brand new way of centrally managing them. With that in mind, let's think about how these ESET's next generation security products can help give you some of your time back for you and your IT staff. ESET designed ESET Remote Administrator version 6 and the new business products to be simple, agile, scalable, and practical. So let's take a look at some of the key market drivers and discuss how ESET's next generation security products help you do more. The first challenge we want to look at is the cost of migration. With enterprise customers, the cost of migration for large deployments can be a major issue when deploying a security solution. So I want to talk just for a bit about what ESET has done to address this particular pain point. With our next generation security products, ESET helps customers with an easier migration experience. For new customers, we've included an AV remover tool to simplify migration to ESET endpoint solutions. When you're removing an existing AV solution, you have to get all the pieces and parts, and this remover tool takes care of that and completely removes it. For customers who need a little more help, ESET offers a custom rip and replace professional service, which does not require a system reboot. So we can quickly get you migrated from one solution to another. For existing customers, there's also a migration tool that helps you move logs and settings from earlier versions of the central management database to this latest version. With a large Windows deployment comes a high cost for Windows Client Access License fees, or CAL fees, for the management server. Our recent survey of ESET customers shows that over half of the respondents could save up to $10,000 by eliminating Microsoft CALs. By offering support for Linux and the ability to deploy using virtual appliances, the next generation of ESET Remote Administrator is well suited for large deployments. This will be especially beneficial for large enterprises as well as companies offering managed services to business clients. Next challenge we want to look at is visibility and control. Ensuring that an entire enterprise is up to date and secure can be a major headache for a lot of IT departments. And as we like to say, you can't manage what you can't see. With ESET next generation products, identifying endpoints in a distributed enterprise is easy. To help with visibility, we're introducing our Rogue Detection Sensor, or RD sensor. This is a new component of the ESET Remote Administrator, and what it does is identify unmanaged nodes and places them into a dynamic group. From there, IT can set tasks and policies to be applied to this group automatically. The RD sensor makes sure that all clients on the network have the latest protection, whether they're online or not. Situational awareness was another challenge. We have an actionable dashboard that gives IT instant situational awareness and keeps IT admins and management informed of their endpoint security status. Our web console has multi-platform support, so an IT admin can manage on the go or at his desk or even from his or her smartphone or tablet. By bringing key visual cues to system performance, ESET helps IT staff rapidly assess their security profile in near real time. This reduces the time spent scanning spreadsheets or reports for textual data and instead allows rapid evaluation, identification, and drill down. Less time spent reading reports, fewer potential omissions in large implementations, and increased accuracy from manual review of rows of log data. For educational and financial institutions that are constantly under a large volume of attack, having a visual view of threats minimizes the response time. And for smaller companies that don't need to be advanced features, most of their daily operations can be taken care of right from this actionable dashboard. Automation was another thing that came up in our survey. The latest version of ESET Remote Administrator is designed to reduce the amount of time a customer needs to spend on a daily basis to manage their endpoint security. With dynamic groups, triggers, tasks, and policies, many actions can be automated. An example is the ability to use automation to disconnect an endpoint with an active threat from the network, trigger a deep scan to clean it, and then readmit it to the network once it's clean. Notifications through email or SNMP traps keep you in the loop on any events that have triggered these tasks or policy enforcement. With the new endpoint agent, policy automation can happen even when an endpoint becomes disconnected from the ESET Remote Administrator server because the agent is the point of policy enforcement. This is useful for many use cases, including medical devices, manufacturing, aviation, POS terminals, and even applications where industrial computers don't have constant network connection to management servers. Let's talk about reporting. Hassle-free and customizable reporting makes it easy to support compliance reporting. There are dozens of stock templates, and if a customer has more specific reporting requirements, you can select from over 1,000 data sources to construct the reporting that your business needs. If you're in a specific vertical market like financial services or healthcare, there's a wizard that helps you build specialized reports for compliance reporting. Coupled with the new ESET license administrator, it's also easy to support reporting for IT chargeback, showback for better budget management. We didn't have a lot of response on our earlier survey for BYOD, but the challenge of BYOD and mobility is quite a big deal. According to IDC, the biggest IT spend driver for small to medium-sized businesses is mobile remote worker support. IDC's 2014 Mobile Security Research Report pointed out an interesting dichotomy. Companies with IT-issued mobile devices worry more about malware, while BYOD-enabled companies are more concerned about privacy risks. ESET's mobile security solution addresses both with one of the highest-rated mobile anti-malware engines and app control to help companies manage privacy risks. With ESET Remote Administrator, you can protect laptops and mobile devices. Included are essential Android device management functions like policies for screen lock, remote locate, remote lock, and remote wipe, just to name a few. The bottom line is, even if you don't have a full-blown mobile device management or MDM solution in place for Android, or you feel that it's cost prohibitive, ESET can enable you to support BYOD and mobility safely. For better support of BYOD, personal devices can have SMS and call filtering policies enforced by time-based rules. For example, SMS and calls from unknown numbers can be blocked during business hours only. This is also useful when you have employees on a shared data plan. For BYOD customers concerned about privacy risks, application control is key. For example, if you're in the healthcare vertical market where mobile health is a major market driver for IT spend, application control can be an important tool to achieving HIPAA compliance. If you're more concerned about mobile malware, ESET's mobile anti-malware technology was certified by AV-Test in September 2014 and received the highest score of 13 out of 13 in categories including protection, usability, features, and extras. ESET Endpoint Security for Android is extremely efficient and battery friendly. The version even has an on-charge scan option to automatically run a full device scan once a device is plugged in and has a full charge. Last, let's take a look at the challenge of the cloud and issues that many managed service providers face. Many of ESET's business partners are growing their MSP or cloud hosting business. This new generation of products was architected to make it easy for you to scale your managed service business. Using our proxy component, our new database connectors, and support for Linux and virtual appliance deployment, you can scale your operations more efficiently and cost effectively. We've added support for multi-tenancy, which is critical for managed services and cloud hosting. Also, ESET File Security for Microsoft Windows Server has new native clustering support. This means for large server deployments, the configurations will automatically be replicated in a cluster without the need to manually configure each server instance. IDC research shows that 4 out of 5 small to medium-sized businesses have active cloud projects. Since cloud and virtualization go hand in hand, ESET invested in significant performance improvements for virtual endpoints. So first, optimization for a revert to default snapshot state. When you're running virtualized, it's a common practice that machines are often reverted back to a default snapshot state, even in the case of a simple shutdown. So support for this deep freeze use case requires a balance between the age of the snapshot and applying all the software module and virus signature updates again at the time the frozen images are thawed. Not only does a window of vulnerability exist between the time you thaw your image and the time it takes to download and apply all the virus signature updates that happened since the snapshot was originally taken, but depending on how many times a machine is reverted back, you're essentially downloading the same data time and time again, wasting bandwidth unnecessarily. So how has ESET minimized this window of vulnerability? Updates can now be stored on a different logical drive, and administrators can now select what folder to store them in outside of the default location. This prevents repetitive download and update of the same data after each revert, as the amount of data downloaded rises with the increasing age of the default snapshot. It also helps to apply these updates sooner than prior methods, minimizing the time it takes the virtual machine to be fully protected with the latest updates. Another improvement is the shared local cache. With this next generation of security products, ESET has introduced a shared local cache module, which is hash-based and avoids repeat scans of the same files. It enables better resource use and eliminates I/O storms in virtual or mixed virtual physical environments. As everybody knows, input-output operations per second, or IOPS, is a very important virtualization performance metric. ESET Shared Local Cache Server gives you valuable IOPS back. ESET Shared Local Cache is compatible with ESET Endpoint Antivirus and Endpoint Security for Windows and OS X, as well as ESET File Security for Microsoft Windows Server. So depending on your network environment, you could see between 40 to 80% performance improvement just by using the shared local cache. So just a quick recap of what we've seen so far today, and then Amelia will come on and tell you about what's coming up next, and we'll take some questions and answers. With the newest generation of ESET endpoint products, you get the same level of security with multiple layers of protection that you've come to expect from ESET. Our latest products are fast, light, scalable, and offer many features to help automate and streamline your security management, giving you precious time back in your day. The actionable dashboard with comprehensive reporting gives you a complete overview of your entire enterprise with key pieces of information right up front. Automation helps eliminate repetitive tasks. Practical mobile device security and virtualization options can help take your company into the future. With that, I want to thank you for your time here today and now pass it back over to Amelia.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dave. I know there was a lot of good information in this presentation. So just as a reminder to the audience, please enter your questions on the BrightTalk screen for the Q&A session. And then just for more information on this topic and the products mentioned here today, please check out the Attachments tab also at the top of your BrightTalk viewer. And if you liked what you saw here today, join us next time for Advanced Persistent Threats, Multiple Layers of Detection, and How It Works. This will be on March 18th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. We're going to do kind of a research overview of APTs, how they work, some real-world examples, and then we'll look at the new detection technologies built into this generation of ESET products. And then we're going to jump into the Q&A in just a few seconds here, but before we do, I have one last poll question for the audience. Please feel free to select one of the following. And you've got contact from ESET Sales, a custom business edition trial of ESET software, which includes our remote administrator tool, a product demonstration, information on becoming a reseller partner or MSP, or you can choose none of the above. Polling will be open for the remainder of the webcast, so feel free to answer at any time. And with that, I would like to welcome to the webcast Dawn Lewis, our Product Marketing Manager, and Greg Gallagher, Technical Trainer, to the line. They're going to help us with our Q&A session. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Amelia.
All right, so it looks like we've got a few questions coming in already, and just a reminder, you can ask a question in your BrightTalk viewer. So the first question looks like it's for Dawn. I'm an existing customer and might want to upgrade, but what improvements have you made in your client software? What have you added to make an endpoint more secure compared to your prior version?
Okay, thank you, Amelia. Yeah, I'm glad the person asked that question. And actually, I'll give just a quick recap, some of the key things, but I believe these will be covered more in depth on the next webcast, March 18th, when we're tying it into advanced persistent threats. Not sure if everyone that's listening is aware that ESET's been a pioneer of the heuristics methodology. We've been doing that for over 20 years, so we do have a lot of experience in predicting malicious code. And also, for the last several years, we've had something called ESET Live Grid, and that's constantly improving. That is basically using several cloud-based technologies, sort of a file and URL-based reputation system to, look at threat information, stream it to the cloud in real time, so it can be analyzed by our labs, but it's based on a whitelist. So having that enabled helps improve performance of the scanning. So we made improvements to those things, but just a quick short list of the other new things we've added in this generation. We've added anti-phishing technology. That's basically protecting from attempts to steal your password and banking data and other, sensitive or proprietary information by fake websites that are trying to pretend to be a real website or a legitimate one. So that's one thing, and we'll go into more deep dive on that on the next webcast. And we've added something called Advanced Memory Scanner, and that's basically designed to strengthen the protection against evolving malware. A lot of times malware writers will try to evade detection by software like ours by using file obfuscation or encryption. So basically this technology monitors the behavior of a malicious process and will scan it once it decloaks in the memory. We've also added something called Exploit Blocker that helps to fortify commonly exploited applications such as web browsers, PDF readers, email clients, or other Microsoft Office components. And it does that by monitoring the behavior of processes and looks for suspicious activities. We've also added a vulnerability shield, which is an extension of our two-way firewall, and it's basically improving the detection of known vulnerabilities at the network level. We've also added something called botnet protection to the firewall. Basically, any detected malicious communication is blocked. So, it basically searches outgoing network communications for known malicious patterns and matches that against a blacklist. And then the last thing, not so much a core detection technology, but in terms of general network performance enhancements in a virtual environment, we've added something. It's an optional component that can be installed with the products. It's called the shared local cache. It's to speed up the scanning. Initial results that we've seen and as reported both in the lab and by some customers could boost performance between 40 and 80%, depending on the network setup. Basically, it's storing metadata about already scanned files within the virtual environment. So as each subsequent virtual machine tries to do a scan, those identical files are not scanned again. So those are some of the things we've added to help address evolving malware and make sure that our solution doesn't degrade your overall network performance.
Great, yeah, and like we said, we'll go over some of those new features at our next webcast on March 18th, so definitely make sure you sign up for that, especially if you're an existing customer. So great, so it looks like the next question is sort of more technical, so I'll throw this one over to Greg. Where do I install the RD sensor, and how many do I need? So I think that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's actually a pretty simple one to answer. The RD sensor can be installed anywhere on your network on any machine. It comes bundled with the ERA installation wizard, so if you're installing Remote Administrator, you can also install the RD sensor on the same machine. But if you have multiple network sites, it might be a good idea to install the RD sensor at each site just to improve the response time.
Awesome. Okay, so the next question, I'll throw this one back over to Dawn. I'm a current ESET customer and I'm interested in switching over to the new version. Can I still manage my old clients on the new generation of endpoint solution? So that's for Dawn.
Okay, so questions, I understand it, is regarding compatibility. Yeah, so basically, if you were to upgrade, you would need to upgrade your remote administrator first. So that's sort of the leading components that need to be installed first in order to take advantage of some of the things that were mentioned in the webcast. And then if you want to upgrade your clients, if you have a file server and you're using our security product for that, you can upgrade those secondarily. All of those tie into the latest remote administrator. However, if for certain reasons you want to manage existing endpoint products, existing server products, for whatever your reasons are, but using the new remote administrator version 6, you can do that. So there is backwards compatibility. And the best place to look at that and compare that would be on our website. We have several articles in our knowledge base. If you were to go to the website, ESET.com, and go to the knowledge base, you can search for version 6, and all of the articles are linked. It'll give you step-by-step some information that you would need to know. Also, there's a web page about licensing, and that has a nice table showing which specific products are backwards compatible with the new Remote Administrator 6. That URL is www.eset.com/us/business/licensing, and that should be new information. We've updated our licensing system, and it lists the compatibility of all the products there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dawn. So it looks like we've got just another question in here, and this one looks like it's for Greg. You mentioned the ESET agent. What is the agent, and what does it do?
That's another good question, and something that we haven't had before in version 5 that's new to version 6. The ERA agent facilitates communication between the client computers and the ERA server. The endpoint software doesn't directly communicate with the server as it was in version 5. The agent is actually really powerful in version 6 because the endpoint doesn't have to check in directly to the remote administrator server to find out what to do in case it gets an infection or some event happens on it. The agent kind of acts like its own ERA server for the client, and if you do all the work you do in the ERA server, it can be done even if your client is offline. So if it's disconnected and can't communicate, the agent can still take care of that.
Okay, great. Well, I think that answers our questions. I see another question in there about contracts and stuff. So we'll get back to that person offline for that question. So with that, I'd like to thank Greg, Don, and Dave for joining us for today's webcast. Thank you, gentlemen. And I'd like to thank you all for participating in today's webcast. We sincerely hope you found it valuable. You can rate this webcast or share it through your social media channels in your Bright Talk window. For more information on ESET endpoint security products, please go to ESET.com. Thank you, and that concludes our webcast today.